Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 164th iteration of the show, recorded on the 25th of October, 2015. My name is Josh Trelevin, and with me, as always,
Time Master Ryan Kirkby.
the Time Master, the guy
Or at least
who
the Date Keeper.
keeps the date keeper. Yeah.
Okay, Date Keeper, yeah. Although that makes me sound kind of like a chaperone. Which I will do. Warning to my daughter, if she's listening to this about 10 years in the future, I am going to chaperone. That is my plan, unless things seem like really, really boring. So, make sure your date can pay for 3 seats at the movies. I'm not paying my own way. I'm a chaperone.
How much do you think movies are going to cost in 10 years? Do you think, first of all, do you think there still will be movie theaters?
I think there will be still an audience for it. It might not be as big, sort of thing. I do expect direct to television sort of thing to ascend in the people's eyes, and so that instead of like, oh no, now we have to wait for it to go to the movies system, and then it'll come out on like the DVD or whatever it'll be in 10 years. I'll say blue quartz crystals. You just insert your crystal in, and the whole thing spins around. It'll be awesome. But yeah, so okay, we gotta wait for it to come out on high definition quartz crystal, and then you'll see it on the TV and up for rent or all that stuff, or it'll be on Netflix Plus and all that stuff. But I think it'll ascend in the eyes, and it'll be like, okay, we've made this movie, it goes straight on out. You want to watch it on Netflix right away? It's an extra premium sort of thing, or you gotta rent it this way or that way. And yeah, there'll be a diminished role for it in 10 years, but there will still be a role for the movie theater, because some movies are better to watch with a whole bunch of people, even if they're like a bunch of strangers. Like seeing the big one, like the next Avengers movie. That'll be something you want to see in the theaters. What's that thing they got coming up now? The new series that's going to wind up replacing everything else for the winter. Yes, that's right. The Star Wars is coming out there around the Christmas season. That'll be the next big Christmas stuff. It used to be Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. And now we're going over to Star Wars. So thank goodness the good Christmas movies are still coming out. And I think there will be still a thing for that. Let's take everyone, we'll go down to the movie theater, and we'll watch the next Star Wars with a whole bunch of strangers. Because some of them work better. It's just true. Like the laughs on a comedy are bigger, and they're more natural, and they flow, and they help you out, too, because we're social creatures.
That is true, yeah.
Horror movies? Probably not. A horror movie is best done almost isolated and completely unpaused. So you'd have to have like the unpausing nature of the movie theater, but with nobody else there, which would make it not a very good horror movie at all.
Yeah.
Although I won't lie, I recall, I think if you were there back in the day when The Grudge, was out and about. No, The Ring. Sorry, when The Ring came out on the theaters. Were you there with us when we all saw it?
I didn't see The Ring, actually.
Oh. You've never seen The Ring?
Nope.
Oh. I might have to amend that. I'll see what the local library system has in plan. Maybe we'll do a late night recording and talk about The Ring and see how much you liked or disliked it. But I saw that. Let's see. My brother Adam was there. There's a number of people there, but the notable one was my brother Adam and our roommate's wife at the time, who was pregnant, Kel. And there's some scenes in there that were so intense. Adam's heart hurted after the movie. It was just being there with everyone, despite the fact you weren't alone. It was just so intense. Knowing that the heightened fear played up back and forth off one another. Kel got some quick early contractions. She was not ready to give birth, but there were some contractions she had because she was so frightened. and Adam's heart hurt. And we were all able to, after, oh my God, oh my heart hurt. And I'm like, did you see that thing with the fly? Oh my God, how did that work? And just thinking about it gives me a little bit of a pain there. So I guess, ooh.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah. I mean, I recommend. Yeah, you're looking for one last really good movie to watch for horror and frightening stuff
that will give you a heart attack, literally.
That may wind up hurting your heart or hurting your hurt. I mean, you could do a lot worse than The Ring. And so, like, it's the season. I mean, Halloween is coming up, and it's like 6 days. So, you kind of get the urge to watch something a little bit more frightening. In which case, yeah, I would definitely recommend The Ring on a short list of movies to watch.
I think in 10 years, I think there will still be movie theaters, but what will happen is everything will be digitized by then. So it won't be a matter of, like, I'm not sure if theaters still get physical, like, reels of, I don't know if they do.
I do not believe most of them do. I believe
even hard drives,
I believe it's hard drives for most of them. Some of the older ones may still have to do the other copies, but that's being phased out because they're clunky and weird. Even though the digital one is more prone to being copied.
Yeah, but I think it's going to all be like a theater will just basically connect to studios via the internet, so that's easy enough.
Although I think they will change things up a little bit because I remember back in the day with VHS. You could get a preview copy, and if you own like a video house, you get a VHS preview copy. You watch it and have like every once in a while, this is a preview copy of read over top. But you could watch it all you want, sort of thing. And when you want to order that, you think the customers will like it, you buy that. I think they'll have something in there where if you copy anything off of the hard drives or try and get it off, in a legal manner, it will put up something like that to scramble it up.
Yeah, I can imagine some kind of technology like that. Yeah,
which is weird because then it wouldn't be technology, advancing. It'd just be technology reclaiming what they once had. Because you can make an analog copy of your VHS stuff that you got for your promo, preview stuff, but it's still going to have that, stuff marked up on there. It's not going to be pristine, baby. So weird quirk of time and technology.
Yeah, and I don't think movie theaters will have a particular film necessarily. I think there will be almost like a Kickstarter. Well, not Kickstarter, but people will basically put in. If
you can get enough people to claim the seats for this movie, to play that
with
movie?
a smartphone app, just go to
I would
love
to watch some classic movies. So
all you have to do to watch a movie in a theater is just gather enough friends and
So it'll effectively be Netflix. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, just for the theater, yeah.
So now here's the thing: if it's going to wind up being so much easier to show the movies, it could be basically any time sort of thing, any movie you want, as long as you get enough seats. Will they make it movie theaters with less seats and then either smaller cinemas, so that way you get more cinemas, you don't need to fill up such a big space, or do you think that they'll make it classier? Or be like a dinner and a movie. So it'd be here's a few tables with the chairs around there. Everyone sits down, and instead of sitting down with because they do more than just popcorn sort of stuff there now. You can get a pizza on there, and you all sit down at the table, and then you just watch the movies. You sit around your table and you enjoy your foods. Can you see the classier style, the more dining and dinner and a movie?
Yeah, in 10 years, that will at least have been tried. But I don't think it'll
catch
dinner and a movie will work necessarily. I think the movie theater will be relatively self-contained. It's you get your popcorn and your other snacks.
You can get fried chicken there,
but not necessarily just tables. Not tables of food and watching a movie.
So I gotta say, I would not mind in the current movie thing just have it because you see those in universities and whatnot. There'd be a little you flip up and then all of a sudden on your tiny little seat, it's got a little spot where you can write stuff on or at least balance stuff.
Yeah,
and I would not mind seeing that for the movie theater as it currently stands. Although I understand it would take them a lot longer to clean everything off to get rid of all the gunk everyone makes.
Yeah.
But I think it would be nice because I don't always want to have to balance my Coke in here. Put this over here, balance, and this goes over. No, just there's a nice little spot for me to put everything. There it is, right in front of my lap. Not actually on my lap. I don't want to get greasy popcorn butter all over my jeans. So there you go. So that's why I'm anticipating at least something to make it a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
Especially if you go with a smaller movie theater size, so you can get more movie theaters, so that way you don't need to try and fill the big venues.
I should say, though, like, my hope for the future is actually for more live entertainment to be available in most towns. Like, you know, I've talked about all the improv shows that we see and the comedy shows. Like, I want to see those rise up.
So then, as the movies move to the home entertainment rather than the big theater, the going out stuff would wind up being more live entertainment and personal stuff rather than going to the movies.
I think so, but I wouldn't mind if the movie theaters made a real effort to sort of win those people and say, oh no, this is really awesome, you have to, you know, and do like marketing campaigns, just instead of like pushing the movie out, pushing like friends to get together to do the group thing I was talking about, like, you know, get enough friends, like a critical mass of people going to signing up for a particular show. They're like, okay, we can put this show on now. Well, what they'll do is they'll have like a marketing campaign, like, and hype it up to all the people, and be like, yeah, come on, go to this, and then they all go to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, let me run another concept by you for the movie theater. Picture the room we're in right now. I suppose if you guys listening out there are in a room, it's probably going to be about the same size room. Unless you're like super rich and you got like a stadium, like bedroom sort of thing you're listening to this in. But imagine like the room we're in right now is the next generation movie theater size.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have, I think, how many people do you think could sit comfortably in a nice little area like this? You know, like we could put in seats, get maybe upwards of a dozen people sitting comfortably.
Sure, yeah.
Or if you want to do my table thing, you could probably have like 6, or you do 2 tables, you know, make it like upwards of 8 or 9, 10 maybe people sitting around.
Yeah.
And then the one far wall would be like the movie theater projection, because, you know, flat screen's, you know, not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger and better.
Yeah.
So could you see it like there's just the one far wall is the giant thing, and then what it would wind up being is you get so many people for like a reservation, like a dining experience. You go out and dine sort of thing. You pick up whatever foods you want, which will likely take up more space. You get all the foods you want from your little things. Then you go into your own personal little theater area. Everyone sits down, enjoys the meal, watches it in their own thing, and then they just get to choose whatever movie on the big old Netflix list of big movie theater stuff to watch.
That's pretty good, except depending on the number of people, if you have 4 or 5, like, family members...
Well, you don't need to necessarily fill it out with everybody sort of thing, but, you know, be like so many seats you'd have.
Well, I'm saying if you have that many people, it's not too bad arguing over what movie you're going to watch, but if you start having, like...
Well, hopefully you plan this out in advance as to which, you know, movie you're going to go see.
If you have the movie already selected.
You just look at their list, you know, over on their website. The website's still going to be there in 10 years.
Yeah, so you need someone to... I don't know, coordinate. You need a movie coordinator or something.
Well, it shouldn't be any more coordination necessary than figuring out who gets what food to eat. I mean, there's often enough, hassle. So this person wants an ice cream thing, this person's getting chicken, this one wants the popcorn and the drink. So, you know, you just figure that all out and see which one person goes where, and then once that's all done, picking out a movie is not that difficult.
Okay, well.
But there you go, sort of thing. So it'd be like, we'll say, you know, like in 10 years' time, my daughter will be 12. We'll see a nice little, PG-13 thing. I can trust her. Those numbers are very conservative estimates.
Okay.
So we'll go find like a nice little classic thing from my childhood, and it's rated PG-13 sort of thing. I can't, off the top of my head, think of anything that I remember seeing when I was like 12, 13. Because the system didn't exist when I was 12, 13, so it's rather difficult for me to backtrack my head around it.
The first PG, I think it might have been PG-14 or something like that.
Yeah, because it's a 14A sort of thing with the Canadian system.
saw The Addams Family Values.
I think that would be a great one to watch. That's an excellent example, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we all, me, my wife, my daughter, or daughter's brother, and a sister, sort of thing, whatever. Everyone all gets together, sort of thing. It doesn't matter how many kids I got. We'll make sure they're all the right age of it. You come along with me, sort of thing, Josh. Maybe my brothers are in town. Maybe my dad's in town. Maybe my mom's in town. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we get, let's all go out and watch that. We pick the thing. We get the food, and we all sit down in a nice little thing.
And a date for your daughter?
Dude can hang along, sure. It's not like he's in a private situation. He's surrounded by family.
Yeah.
Dude is entering the lion's den. It's his choice on this one.
Well, I was just thinking, too.
Or her. I mean, like, it is the future.
That's possible, yeah. Okay. We don't know yet. She's too young to tell us.
Express in such a manner.
But also, like, we got into this because of chaperoning, and I think maybe technology might be like, because she'll probably have a smartphone, I'm imagining.
Well, she'll have an intelligent phone.
Yeah.
10 years' time, man, it'll be AI. Oh, we'll take the AIs down with us.
And it'll probably just report, like, because by that time we won't care anymore about being watched wherever we are.
Yeah,
so
that'll be a little blasé. She's growing up without that sense of privacy we inherently have. So
you'll just
we'll
know
see how that one goes.
The whole evening you can look her up on her phone. Just still in the
Technically, you
theater.
can do that now. It's considered rude parenting. It's a lack of trust.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that plays out in a decade. But would you be okay with that sort of thing? Say, oh yes, they're all going down here, and we're going out, as opposed to eating, something in here, ordering Chinese food and just sitting down in front of this TV. You got a huge TV, man. Everyone sits down and gets a little personalized thing, and then when you're done, throw everything in the garbage. Some crew cleans up behind you as you go.
Yeah, I'd like to do. I mean, I could do that once a month or something like that. I'm not that big.
No, I wouldn't see that being like a weekly sort of thing, But I could see it as being a nice occasion, like you go out and do that sort of thing. In which case, the majority of the future generation of the movie theater would wind up being places that serve you food and amenities.
Yep.
Which I can dig, like I won't lie. Every once in a while, I get a nice hankering for some sweet and sour, like pork, on a bed of rice. I don't want everyone else to have that, but I'll do that. So we go hit the food court, take all the food into the private theater. There we go. I get my my sweet and sour pork. I'm watching the Addams Family Values. Everyone's having a fun time. And that's how you get people out, despite the fact, the movies are all hitting Netflix.
Yeah. What about, what if you have, what if you have another kid, maybe 10 years from now or 8 years from now, so that kid is 2 years old then. And
but that's the thing, if it's all very personal, where it's only you and your family doing the whole thing,
then they don't care if the baby cries.
Then I could take the young kid out, and I won't have to worry about being a bad parent that's interrupting the rest of the strange members of the audience.
The people that you're bothering they have to put up with it.
They have to put up with it because they're family, and they're more liable to understand and sympathize, as opposed to, I paid $15 for this 3D movie. You get your crying kid out of here. Spoiler alert, I have been that person. Shut your kid up. That was me.
You've been the shusher, not the person who brings the kid.
No, I would never be the person who brings a kid in on that sort of thing. Come on. It was the second Matrix movie. We waited so long to get that thing out into the theater. I am not having it interrupted by a crying child.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
So, I think you were there at the movie theater.
I probably was. I may have been. Yeah. We went to a few movies.
Yeah, the usher came down looking for who screamed that out, and they never found me. It was the perfect crime. And it's too late. The statute of limitations has expired, so I can freely admit it now.
Yeah.
It feels good to admit it. Oh, yeah. I have no regrets about the situation. And that's the thing, though. It gets rid of all the negative things about like going to see a movie theater with a young kid. You don't have to worry about it. You can do that. And that'll get more people out there. Because one of the biggest obstacles about me and my wife going to see a movie is is someone going to watch Zoe in the meantime?
Mm-hmm.
Will Zoe be okay with this whole thing? Will we need to pause or anything like that? It's not that difficult now. If it's the small movie theaters, I have promised you would be around in 10 years, Josh.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the future then.
Yeah. It'd be nice to go see the movies more often, I won't lie. So, yeah. Okay, yes, I suppose on to other things, stuff like news-based stuff. We already mentioned it. But yes, the big trailer for the Star Wars next movie comes out. Is out already. Dang near broke the internet. Got so many watches, so many loads, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
You think it looks good?
I have high hopes for it.
I think the trailers are well done.
Well, the trailers are well done, but they're also promising to me.
Yeah, I like a trailer that kind of tells its own story, almost like its own little movie.
Or at least it brings you in. It's like, this is a movie I'm going to want to watch. As opposed to, this person was the killer all along. Now I don't need to watch it.
Yeah. And people are talking about Luke not being in it. Right? Luke Skywalker not making an appearance. But I think that's on purpose, and that's because
I believe it will be revealed he's fallen to the dark side.
Or, well, maybe, yeah.
That's well, it's not like he doesn't have a family precedence for the dang thing.
Well, except I feel like the original trilogy kind of explored that territory already, and they're like, oh no, okay, Luke overcame his demons.
He overcomes the demons in the short term, the easy term.
Yeah.
The true nature of evil is its long, insidious wear. Evil and the corruption of morality is the same as the tides. It doesn't get you today, it won't get you tomorrow, but it will wear you down. Just look over on the East Coast. They had that like hole on the thing for the island, and they had tourists from all around the world looking at that natural hole on the side. And then like this week, it just collapsed.
The hole in the side of what?
Just a rock formation. Just a hole in the side of
a rock,
like an out rock crop.
There's a hole in a rock. Wait, what?
Okay,
back up.
Other side of the province, other side of the country, other side of the continent, sort of thing. This is how big Canada is. You got one of those rock formations where they got like a little hole as it washes through when the water comes up.
Oh, like a tidal, what is that called? Tidal spout or something like that?
Well, it's not like it spouts up. Sometimes it'll curve up, so you wind up getting like a geyser sort of thing, which is awesome when that happens. Maybe they'll want to do that now that they don't have this hole. And it was just like I think it was well aligned so that you could wind up seeing like the rising sun or the setting sun or something. So it always looked majestically beautiful. As like, oh, the rocks, are obscuring the sun, and then the sun comes out at the last moment just as it hits the waves. It's like, oh, beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then like this last week, it just collapsed. Not because of sabotage, not because of terrorism. It's just tides and time.
Yeah,
it's big. It's been slowly getting bigger and bigger because it's been slowly eroding, and now it's gone. And that's the same thing as evil. If it keeps pushing on you, it's like the tide. It'll get you eventually. It'll wear you down.
Yeah, but that's my question, though. Is the dark side, like, what is... I guess we'll find out in the movie. But presumably, at the end of the end of Return of the Jedi, evil is basically defeated. I guess there's some mopping up to do or whatever, if there's... But I don't see a force... a force pressing against Luke in any direction.
Well, this is technically non-canon now, but there is a Sith alternative to the Jedi Force Ghosts, where they're like a Sith. Well, they're not even technically real. They're like a Sith, like forever illusions of complexity enough to mimic effectively a ghost. So you get your Sith ghosts, and you can have that stuff slowly.
So that would be like Palpatine's ghost, basically, like the Emperor's ghost.
You never did find his body.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't... As far as sequels go, I mean, that could be where they go, but I don't like that as a sequel. It's like, you thought you killed Emperor Palpatine, well, turns out... I don't know.
He has merged with the Death Star when they both died. Now he is the Sith Ghost / Death Star.
Yeah, that's not satisfying to me as a sequel. Like,
you don't want to see Palpatine as a sentient Death Star? How high are your expectations, dude?
I want to see a new bad guy. I mean, I guess, like, if you...
Oh, yeah, that guy with the two extra, like, little lightsabers.
Well, there's that guy, yeah. I don't know who that is. Yeah, I guess we don't.
Yeah, but everything I've seen of it promises this is going to be classic Star Wars. Don't worry about it, Ryan. Don't worry about it. It's going to wind up being classic Star Wars. Which was my biggest fear, was, like, is it going to wind up being the Star Wars style? And from everything I've seen, it looks like they get it. It's there. They understand the little minutiae that make it this kind of movie as opposed to just another movie. You can do space opera without needing Star Wars, but only the little tells, like the crazy little like wipes from scene to scene, are what make it.
I wonder, like, here's another thing that I'll bring up is trilogies are supposedly very self-contained. Like, it's supposed to be like the original, the 4, 5, 6 trilogy. Was supposed to be like, oh, okay, episode 1 has this, like, okay, he comes of age and he's like, he does this amazing thing. Episode 2, he goes down into darkness. Episode 3, he returns, the Return of the Jedi. Very self-contained, very a story, right?
Yeah.
So then when you do a trilogy of trilogies, what is that third trilogy, like, what is the coming home element of that? Like, can we see the whole...
Will the whole third trilogy act as a coming home for like the other two trilogies as a whole?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to do like the same little story, kind of like a story arc?
Or is it just another adventure? Because, I mean, maybe that's because the original, like, episode 4 is just in media res, like, it's just another space fun thing that happened, right?
And I'm fine with that with the Star Wars stuff. I mean, I dug the Clone Wars very much. It's not like you had to... give me huge depth and, character change every, episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to see a good story told in this sort of setting.
Do you think that's even possible? The logical, if you put all episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all in a row and considered 1, 2, and 3 Act 1, 4, 5, and 6 Act 2.
Intermezzo.
Then what does...
Furiosa.
7, 8, 9. What does 7, 8, 9 look like for that? If we say
Only Disney knows.
4, 5, 6 are like So the middle act is sometimes like a low point. It's like because the emperor took over, and it was very dark.
He was blowing up
Vader.
planets with Death Stars. That sounds pretty low to me, man.
Yeah, the end of episode 3, Darth Vader starts killing all the Jedi, and then sort of takes over. And
so maybe a bit more of a true and satisfying telling of the foretold prophecy about the making both sides equal. So I mean, he will bring balance to the Force. He really didn't bring balance to the Force in either sets of trilogies, aside from
true.
wiping out everybody. So I think maybe come the end of Episode 9, the balancing of the Force would be the open acknowledgement of both Sith and Jedi as paths, none of which can be or try to eradicate each other. They find some sort of balance living with each other, and then it's got your kind of yin yang sort of thing going on.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Or maybe some sort of thing where the Jedi become you rode the Jedi thing of you can't have really any emotional stuff. So the Jedi learn to become like the Sith, but not controlled by their anger like the Sith. So that they're not Jedi, but they're not the Sith anymore. There's something much more balanced and neutral.
Well, here's the problem.
That would be the resolution is just finding the actual balance between the sides of the Force.
At the end of Episode 6, there's only one Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine...
And no Sith, so it's really still not balanced.
Yeah, so 7, 8, 9, I mean, because the Jedi returned in Episode 6, I don't think that's going to get undone.
No.
So I think we're going to have a rebuilding of the Jedi Order in some way.
It's technically non-canon now, but that's what Luke Skywalker did after he started the new Jedi Academy and stuff happens.
Okay. So yeah, it's something to do with the Jedi the Jedi returning.
Or the reformation of the Jedi.
Yeah, the Jedi reforming. And then, they'd have to... become this sort of galactic force again. And we see the glory days of what he was talking about, when
they were the intergalactic order. Sort of thing.
But I suppose that would be at the end of Episode 9, we would have some new Jedi order, basically.
Or, as I was saying before, some sort of, balance between them and the Sith where they're not always trying to eradicate each other's side. Some way where they can coexist together.
Yeah. Has any of the films been called something like The Sith?
Revenge of the Sith would be...
Which one was that?
The final one.
That was 3.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, and The Balance of the Force.
Okay.
That sounds like Episode 9, The Balance of the Force.
Yeah, balance could be... Yeah, Episode 9 could be...
There you go. So yes, I think if they do it right, they could wind up having this... third trilogy wind up being the third part in a trilogy of regular movies. Yeah,
and I could... Okay, you were talking about the Emperor or maybe some malevolent spirit haunting Luke or something like that.
Potentially.
But I could see, because Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were very much Anakin's story, the story of Darth Vader's rise and fall. I could picture...
The ghost of Vader.
Yeah, a Vader ghost sort of influencing.
But that is an interesting concept too, because there are people who have said that Uncle Owen wasn't lying when they said that Anakin died, sort of thing, in such and such a time. And then later on, especially when the things get restored,
it's like the undead Anakin.
Well, it's the thing when at the end of Episode 6, when they've remastered it, you do get to see the ghost, the Force ghost of Anakin again.
Yeah. Because they rebuilt him once, so why not rebuild him in a spiritual way?
But here's the thing, that anger and that stuff, it just doesn't dissipate away.
Yeah. So
what if there's still the ghost of Darth Vader out there somewhere? Just as so it winds up he winds up splitting.
They show his mask, right, in the trailer.
The crushed and decayed mask of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the Force ghost of the hate Vader had for so many years. That helmet he was wearing for all those, many years, winds up giving him a Force ghost. So the guy's not just crazy talking to the head of Darth Vader's mask. The ghost of Vader's rage is still inside there.
Which is interesting.
Could you think that? Could that be a way, if it was done in just the right way?
Yes, but it will change the way I see Episode 6, because...
Which maybe all good sequels should be doing.
I suppose.
It changes the way you see.
Because you think Episode 6 is the redemption. That's the ultimate, Darth Vader finally redeems himself that's the end of it. Like he throws the guy in the pit.
Hey,
okay.
Spoiler alert, dude.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
And then, that's the end for Vader, and he dies, right? So that's okay.
Well, redemption does equal death in many cases.
But then I suppose, there might be some lingering evil that has to be.
Well,
he did
really
cause a lot of pain.
Anakin, by and large, was he was unable to let go of his pain,
Yeah.
unable to let go of his anger. That's why he became Vader. So that even after, he lets it go as himself, the rage, and the anger and the pain still persists.
Yeah, and he did,
without him.
He did cause a lot of damage to the entire galaxy, by killing so many Jedi and enslaving people. And
he killed
planets.
Jedi kitties, man. He killed Jedi kitties, man. They were just little Padawans, and he just comes up and he slaughters them, man.
But
Episode 3, baby.
Is it an interesting story, though, of all of the... basically, Luke making amends for all of the things his father did? Like, go back to Alderaan. Okay, we're going to... all the people who weren't on the planet when it got blown up, they were...
The Alderaan, wouldn't that be an interesting sight to see, sort of thing? Like the Alderaan, I guess by such and such a time in the future, it becomes like a meteor belt sort of thing, like the asteroid belt sort of stuff.
Yeah, that they flew through in the Millennium Falcon.
There's still chunks of it left, but what if the people that were from Alderaan return there and they just set up on the new Alderaan, debris field?
Like basically do space habitats on the...
Space habitats, attempting to put chunks together and do some terraforming, and create a thing. Wouldn't that be pretty boss seeing that?
Yeah, that'd be
I would be blown. Oh my God, they're still so tenacious, those Alderaanians. But they're democracy. They've learned not to dig, the royalty much anymore. Not like having a queen help them out much. Not like having Princess Leia help them out much. So yeah, maybe they form a democratic sort of thing going on there.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I would love to see, the return to Alderaan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have, 6 hours worth of footage of space that they have to fill.
They could probably make it work with 9 if they really wanted to.
Or 9, if they have extended versions.
Because, this is qualifying for epic level stuff. They could do a 3-hour stuff and people won't
Well, do you remember how long the average are all the...
3-hour movies were not the thing back in the day.
But episode 1, 2, and 3...
Well, I think when you add in some of those deleted scenes, I think the original stuff was expanded out to about 2.5 hours a piece.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, with... Yeah,
so, you could do 2.5 hours, and it wouldn't wind up being, out of place compared to the others.
Okay, yeah.
So that's still a lot, man.
So they got to sort
7.5 hours of
revisit... We know they're revisiting Tatooine.
Oh, well, yeah.
And they'll probably revisit Coruscant because it's very central.
But yeah, I mean, return to Alderaan. Dig it, man. Just so long as the Ewoks stay on Ewok land, that'll be fine.
I imagine we probably won't see Naboo, although I think that would be... I wouldn't mind seeing Naboo. I bet we're going to see Bespin, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dagobah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know.
Not as the big thing throughout most of it. There'll be a journey to there.
Yeah.
It has been said to be very rich in the living force because it is a pristine planet.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Hoth again.
Hopefully it's still untouched, sort of thing, so it remains, high in the force.
Yeah.
I would hate to see, a bunch of Hutts going in there and just start chopping stuff down and, selling raw resources.
That could happen, yeah.
It would be tragic, but that's how things go. But, yeah, so, everything... And the characters seem to be, these are people I want to hear more about. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this, the Stormtrooper. I mean, that's what he was born and raised to do, is just kill things. But now he doesn't have the Empire to serve. It's just not there. Mm-hmm. I would like to see this guy's story. Me
too.
What I saw from the 88-second trailer, I want to see more of this guy.
Yeah.
So, I am really enthused about this. My hopes from it have been raised even higher. Yeah. I will be saddened if it doesn't live up to it, but you know what? I got high hopes right now, and I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. Okay. Discussion about Star Wars.
Okay, so you guys probably won't hear this until tomorrow, but Monday, the 26th, is the series premiere for the Supergirl movie.
The Supergirl television series on
television
CTV?
Series. Well, it'll be on global whatever sort of thing. Okay. I believe it is considered to be properly not an ABC. Well, maybe it is an ABC. Check out your local listings if you got TV.
Supergirl.
But it will be Supergirl. She has her stuff is starting up on the Monday, which is tomorrow, as we say that, likely today. Check your listings right away. If you're listening to this in the early evening, you might be able to catch it. So yeah, it'll be nice. I'm going to give it a shot. Going to have some family over. We're all going to give it a shot. It's the thing I hope. See how things go. I'm hoping I like it, because right now my Mondays are a little barren. Right. Although I did notice that they are moving the Muppets, or at least playing some of the Muppet stuff over on the Monday, and I really hope it doesn't conflict. Because right now I can't watch the Muppets because I'm watching Flash. And it's like, I had to make a choice, but now I have the chance to watch them both. But if it conflicts with Supergirl, it's like, I'm going to have to make a choice one way or another. And I hope I don't have to make that choice. I'm hoping I can watch, just the Muppets and then go into Supergirl.
That would be good.
Yeah. Good stuff to watch on Monday, good stuff to watch on Tuesday. That's my weekends, man. I'm digging that.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out, double check. Fingers crossed it's good. Must see TV. I guess some listeners may be listening to sort of our back episodes in the far future, so they'll already know how they're
Supergirl
watching
turned
season 4 right now,
or they're binge watching all the previous seasons.
I can dig that. I hope it makes it decently and sort of thing. Like admittedly, Superman is a hard character to write, and his movies do pretty darn good. Supergirl is harder to write, and her movie never did that very good stuff going on. It was considered a very poor movie. I didn't mind it, but I'm not one to quote on what's good and what's not when it comes to movies. I'm weird like that. So I'm really hoping she at least gets a good TV series out of it. She got a lot of potential. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But what you been doing this week, Josh? In more contemporary news.
Okay,
more localized.
Let's talk about that. What did I do? I went to a few different things, like I don't know, out in the world.
You don't remember what you did, but you were out there.
I went to an improv show of the Vikes Improv at UVic, the UVic Vikes Improv.
How were they?
Troupe. They're very good. This is actually the second time I've went and watched them, and it was more good stuff. They had some new members, like new younger people join them. And
so the Victoria Vikes, they are part of the acting class that.
Well, no, they're not an official they're not an academic.
So they're not doing it for course credits or anything.
Yeah, it's a student society club, so it's more kind of like the sporting organizations.
Okay.
It's not an official.
I just wanted to make sure, because there's acting classes to be had up in Victoria.
That's true. Yeah, and I have to assume that some of the improv players are also involved in some kind of theater, but I don't know how much overlap there actually is. It was fun. What did they did a play about the Tooth Fairy and zombies coming back because kids were smashing their teeth out on the backs of chairs. I think I lost a tooth that way, and I'm pretty certain my brothers lost a few of their own. Yeah, they were doing it on purpose, though, to get the Tooth Fairy money, and then they were turning into zombies for some reason. Why didn't you just take the teeth out of the zombies? Then the zombies can't really eat any brains. They just got to gum it. That way you've effectively gotten rid of a large problem with the zombies, and that's like up to 32 teeth, not including gold fillings. Keep those ones for yourself. Tooth Fairy can go get her own gold fillings. Yeah, it wasn't clear what the motivation was entirely, although there was a lady who owned a chair factory, and then we thought for a second that was her racket, was that she was trying to sell more chairs. But or that the chairs were magically turning people into zombies. Not sure. I have encountered a chair that was so comfortable, any person sitting in there would never want to leave for the rest of their life. Oh, that's an interesting. It was on the Tick. Short story. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, the Tick. Yes. He overcame it. He stood up out of the chair that was so comfortable. All right. So I went to an improv show that was on probably Friday. Yeah, it was on Friday. On Saturday, I played D&D with our Roll for Initiative group, which anybody can come to. But it costs $10 in an afternoon. Because they got to rent the room. Yeah, it's moved up from, it used to be starting at 4 till like 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock sort of slot. They changed it but I don't know if it's going to stay at 1 o'clock to 6.
It would be a little easier to get things done later on in the evening that way.
Yeah, it gives people other opportunities to do. And then we played. I played my wizard, Omayan the wizard, and we went and It was a fairly simple game plot. It was a shooting star had fallen into a neighboring town, and we went to find out what the shooting star was, and we found out we went to if it was valuable to take it back to our boss, because he had hired us to bring me this rock. Okay,
bring me the star.
But yeah, it turned out it was like I guess I don't know if this is spoilers because I mean I don't know if we're gonna do that adventure again. But
whatever. Go for it.
I don't know if Alex is gonna run it. Oh well, I'll spoil it. It turns out the star was a seed of an alien plant thing that infected people. And
was it a mean green monster from outer space?
It was green, yes. It was a plant monster with
it was
vines.
Big and bad?
Well, with vine tentacles that it attacked us with. And it replaced my character, two
of
us.
Did it sing?
Oh, did it? No.
I'm suddenly disheartened it didn't have levels in Bard. We could have had a Little Shop of Horrors.
We did have a Bard, and it was me and the Bard who got replaced. So I was a double agent.
You were a pod person?
And yes, I was playing the evil version of myself, evil plant version. And I challenged our antisocial ranger to a game of rock, paper, scissors, which we simulated with rolling dice. And
as opposed to playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. And,
crazy.
And then I beat him because I had a wizardly intelligence, and then he punched me, and then that's how we resolved. That's how I didn't have to be, because he knocked me out, so I didn't have to be fighting against the other party members.
Not bad.
So I think we might have metagamed slightly there, but
it happens.
Yeah. And,
okay, so I have to sit around and create stats for a singing plant in 5th edition.
I'd like somebody to see the
hypnotically seductive plant that tells you.
What is it? Audrey, is that the name?
Audrey too.
Audrey too.
Yes, based off of the name of the original Audrey.
Yes.
The girl he's got the crush on, Seymour. I could dig that. I wouldn't mind rolling up in a campaign like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that. I played a little bit of Minecraft, not too much. A little bit of video games. Oh, I played a little bit of Don't Starve, but I don't know.
Did you starve?
No.
Oh, good.
No, I didn't starve.
Then you won.
I played as the librarian this time.
Did you find a library?
No.
So then you were playing an unemployed person.
Well, everyone in Don't Starve is unemployed.
Horrible.
I guess their employee.
Horrible economy they're in.
Their job is to not starve, to find food and not starve.
Subsistence living.
Yes. I don't know if that counts as a job like hermit or gatherer, hunter and gatherer. Yeah.
Well, it was everybody's job at one point. Then we settled down and had civilization.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the librarian doesn't like spoiled food, so you have to always get fresh food. So that's what makes it a little bit harder. But the librarian
probably for the best though.
Starts with more knowing how to craft more things. So yeah.
So it's not librarian in the traditional sense, more of a Mr. Fix-It then.
I suppose so, yeah. A lot of book learning, but that seems to translate into being able to actually make chests out of wood and stuff.
So a carpenter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And magic, but I haven't gotten too much into the magic aspect of the game. But you can make wands and hats and things.
Ooh.
And
I just put on my wizard hat and robes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I played. What did I say? I played a bit of Minecraft. Yeah, not too much. Just did some mapping and wandering around the world and discovering new things. Found a new swamp. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, and I watched one more thing I did. I watched Whale Rider is what it's called.
Ah, what's the movie about?
It is about a young girl she's Maori, and it's sort of about like the Maori legend of the whale rider.
Is her name Mallory?
Mallory the Maori?
Because that would just be so bad for parenting if her parents named her that.
Well, her parents named her Paikea.
See, but at least that one doesn't, mess you up like Mallory the Maori.
Right, which is, the Paikea was the legendary Maori figure, like the ancestor who rode a whale over into New Zealand from some faraway place.
See, but that's not too bad, though, because people still name their kids Alexander after Alexander the Great. I mean, it's like, no one's asking them to conquer, like Macedonia.
That's true. Not a lot of whale riding in the show, which, I mean, I guess that's okay. It was more of a, I guess it's more of a drama than a adventure movie. But I kind of would have liked, because she rides the whale for 2 minutes. I don't know, so, or maybe even less than that.
That's okay. That's okay, because remember, in the movie Free Willy, Willy's not free until the very end.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, false advertising.
I want to see Whale Rider. I picture the Last Airbender style, just riding whales throughout the whole thing.
I do recommend actually watching
Fighting
The
pirates.
Last Airbender. He does ride some stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
But I mean, it was more of an not. I don't want to say adult, but grown-up movie.
Grown-up movies are boring.
It was about a kid, but it was written for grown-ups. I think. I don't know. Yeah.
And young teens, sort of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was good.
Okay. Dig it.
So yeah, that's basically what I did in simulations. It's what I watched and experienced. What did you?
I got the mods I decided to have working up in Minecraft. The big one was MineChem, which adds effectively chemistry in there. So I was breaking stuff down. I got a lot of carbon, and I figured out how to make diamonds. I haven't made any artificial diamonds, but I know how to now.
Okay.
And then I created a new world to effectively mine out. I wanted some of those crystals you get in the game, so I can make portals. And I generate a world just with enough stuff to make sure it's stable, mostly stable. Crystal is considered a high value thing, so it's considered greedy to have. So when I go into the world, it winds up with let's see, I think it was just a slow mining debuff. Not that I'm actually using anything for mining like that. I've got my Ars Magica. But I go in the world there, and it's supposed to be a mesa, like a cliff top, and it's set to be flat. And so the clouds are pretty darn low. And then I notice there's some blue pillar going up to the sky. And I go there and I check it out. It's xenon. It's a pool of xenon gas that's constantly just blowing off the stuff to go up into the sky.
Huh.
Which is boss, right? That's pretty boss.
Isn't xenon heavier than air though? I know radon is the one that you worry about in your basement.
Gas, so it has to dissipate, and they don't have cloud-based dissipation stuff like they do in Dwarf Fortress. So it just goes straight up into the air. So it's this huge billowing pillar of yay, you can't miss me. And I also had pools of argentium, the highly radioactive substance. Just pools of it sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Some weird stone structures that they don't go down past it, because you can dig them down to the base level, and then it's sand underneath. So these are just rocks sitting on the top of the sand. I found a lot of crude oil sort of stuff there, so I've got a lot of that stuff. That's good to have fun with. I'll refine that down to gas when I get the time. But I had floating, islands of the crystal, so I spent a lot of time mining that out for the stuff. But I just found it such amazing what the random world generation adds with these chemical compounds. And so I think I'm going to have a lot of fun experimenting with that sort of stuff. So hooray!
Cool.
Other than that, Marvel Avengers Alliance has started up its little Halloween sort of thing, a new hero to get, fighting Dracula, and all sorts of fun stuff in the Dark Dimension. I'm enjoying that because it's progressing a storyline that's going on through there. And that's keeping me entertained. I was a little afraid of it starting up and and not having all the characters I need. In order to fight the elite boss, you have to send out all the proper deploys, which will be, you have to send out this specific person. And I am missing, or was missing, 6 people from my completed recruitment list. So I was like, oh no. So it's like, what if it needs to be that? So I've been grinding up the points to buy these guys for a while now, the last couple of weeks. And I had finally enough to get the 2 most expensive ones. So I figured, I got things set, man. And then it comes out, and then I go quickly check the wiki to see, what am I going to need for the heroes? Turns out I have all 3 of them already. I didn't need any points. So I'm going to wind up buying the characters anyways and just making sure I'm caught up on my list. So it's like, yay! I bought Deathlock, the man-machine assassin. Although I think the next one I'm going to buy is Quake, who you can see as Agent Daisy, formerly Agent Sky in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
So hooray! It'll be nice to have that one. I splurged, though. I was able to get an alternate costume for Spider-Girl. My brother Adam bought the Marvel 2 Universe, line of Spider-Girl comics. It was supposed to be just like a what if. Like, what if, May Parker didn't die. The young May Parker, which is what they were going to name Mary Jane's baby. But, oh no, baby's dead. Or is she? No, it turns out, yeah, she is. Because editorial forced, no, you cannot have this. And then they wound up taking away his wife entirely.
Okay.
I blame certain people rather than storytellers. Editorial mandates, though. And so the what if was like, what if she's still there? What, when she discovers her spider powers? And that wound up being like a 50-issue series or thing. That went on for years as they decided to make it like the cornerstone of the Marvel 2 universe. That takes place in an unprecedented time in the future, stuff going on. And when her costume first came out, it was based on the what recently happened with the Spider story in alternate universes, where she becomes the Spider-Woman. It's like, oh, that's nice just to get the current costume, but I kind of wanted the classic one. I remember reading. And, it was as soon as the costume comes out, I gotta buy this one. I can't not buy this. Gotta get it now. So I picked it up as quickly as possible, so now she's in her classic costume sort of thing. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that. I try just like, oh my god, there's so much stuff to be done in that game, though, right now. They raised the level cap, so now I gotta raise everyone's level up sort of thing. But I finally got everybody trained. There was at one point I had... 8 times 6, 48 characters just waiting to be trained so I could gain more experience and use them better. And I've slowly been working it down, and so now there's no longer a waiting list. Anybody needs to be leveled. I've got both the resources and the open training depot. I can do that. Don't have to worry, and that's really quite nice.
That's cool.
But it also feels like I've made decent progress because. When you play those games on Facebook and all that, it's always like, oh, no, you're limited for resources. I can't do this because I don't have enough resources here and there. And at first it was the points for this, so it's like, I'd like to train you up or get this, decent weapon, but I just don't have the points for it, the command points or whatever. And then, you slowly build up enough, and it's like, okay, now I'm sitting on 1,000 of those points right now. It's like, yeah, I got no worry, but I don't have enough cash to train everybody. And then I got 48 people I need to train, and then I'm slowly building up. And now that I've got everyone trained, I got 1 million silver, coins to spend on whenever someone needs it. I don't think I need more than 500,000 at any point in time, though. But I got a bankroll going. I got the points going, and it feels good. To say, I'm making progress. I don't have to worry about being broke all the time in the game. I'm broke enough in real life. I don't need that in the game. So I'm enjoying the progress I've made there. And hey, Halloween, special ops going in, so I'm enjoying that too. I'm killing vampires left, right, and center. Woo! Let's see. Other than that, I watched 3 movies this week. First one was Atlantis, the one starring Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, the animated film.
The animated one, yes.
Is it Disney or no?
It is Disney.
Yeah, Disney.
Although Disney doesn't seem to want to acknowledge them anymore. They apparently did not do too good in the box office. Oh. Disney drops you like a hot potato when you
Well, what Disney does with its movies is it puts them in the vault.
This one, I guess they just threw on the floor of the vault. They didn't even care about where on the vault it goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They had big plans for it, and it didn't wind up getting the amount of traction they wanted, so they wound up dropping a lot of plans. Which would explain why all the characters presented in were such good characters. And like, oh yeah, seems more fleshed out than for a secondary character than you usually see, because they had plans for sequels and maybe spin-offs and stuff like that. Ah, well. The path not taken, eh? I enjoyed it, though. I originally just picked it up because, like, one, I hadn't seen it, and two, it's like, well, this is Back to the Future week. Michael J. Fox is doing big in there. I'll see something of his that's otherwise, just tangentially connected. It's Michael J. Fox's stuff. Okay, there we go. And I liked it. He's a great voice actor. I know the Parkinson's is giving him some trouble for movement. I think, though, he should consider trying to do some more voice acting. He's got a great voice.
Oh, yeah.
So, think it over if you're listening there, Mr. Fox. I thought it was a great movie. I don't understand why it didn't do great, although I didn't see it in the theater, so I guess I'm part of the problem. You did catch it in the theater, though?
I think that was one of the... I don't see a lot of movies in the theater, but I think that was one of the few I did.
I think you may have caught that one with my brother. I had stuff to do on that day, and I couldn't make it. You enjoyed it, though? I
did, yeah. Yes. I can't remember much of it because it was a few years ago, but yeah, it was a good movie.
Well, if you think you could return it by next Friday, I can lend you the copy I got from the library.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. The other movie I saw was the 1931 classic Bela Lugosi stars in Dracula.
Ah, yes.
Oh, it's a classic stuff. With the classic lines, I never drink wine. Because he's Dracula, he drinks blood. Ba-dum-punch. And every time I watch it, it just strikes me as how close Mel Brooks' Dracula Dead and Loving It got. There are lines in there, like, I like Leslie Nielsen saying, you are a very wise man, Van Helsing, for someone who has yet to live an entire lifetime. As opposed to the 1931 one where he gets exposed by not having, like a reflection. He smacks the box out and says, Van Helsing will explain it, as he walks off, and then he says, for a man who has yet to live an entire lifetime, you are a very wise man, Van Helsing. Huh. So it's nice to see how they got the lines there. The laughter of Renfield was done perfectly in Dracula Dead and Loving It. And so originally when I saw Dracula Dead and Loving It, I thought it was a good parody sort of thing. Oh, yeah, they got the stuff here and there. It's Dracula-based yuck humor. Starring Leslie Nielsen. Ah, yay. But since I've seen the original Dracula and I watched Dracula Dead and Loving It again, I see it, yes, it's a comedy. Yes, it is satirical. However, I see it very much now as a labor of love. A love for such a classic old film. Although I will note the difference in the pacing of the old movies compared to the modern ones means I did have a hard time following through because we have a standard 3-act story. This had short little bits here and there.
Oh yeah.
And so it had to, it didn't flow quite as smoothly. It was like, here's a scene, long scene, short scene, long scene, and it just kind of goes. It's a little bit of a jarring. Okay, now we're doing this. Although I will note, I'm watching the one thing. Dracula has just arrived in London. He's walking on the foggy London streets, and there's a girl selling flowers. The little flower girl sort of thing. Flower woman sort of thing, not a little girl. But she's trying to sell flowers, and everyone's ignoring her because this is London. People ignore you if you're that low sort of thing. They did back in the day. And so she's offering sell you a flower to Dracula, and he comes in and he does that thing where the hand comes up over with his cape, and he hides. Oh no. And then next thing you know, he's walking away slowly. He's got his cane with him. He's just walking around. A rich, well-to-do man in London, just walking away after having drank the blood out of and killed this lady. Cop finds the thing, blows the whistle, everyone's afraid and all that. No one thinks about him. He's just a human being to them, and he's walking down the street. He's a monster hidden among us perfectly.
Yeah.
And that bit struck me, which is weird because it never struck me before, but it struck me as you're a monster. You are truly and utterly a monster. And the society of London lets you get away with it. No one would suspect you because you are a wealthy sort of person. You got your top hat, you got your regal bearing, you got your cane and your cape and all that. And it's just my God, you're just the most of monsters. Because you can hide so well. You can walk amongst humanity and no one will say, that's a monster there.
Well, except here's what I'm wondering, though, is that era of London sort of has its own monsters in that.
Jack the Ripper sort of thing.
Well, no, I mean,
there was some guy before Jack the Ripper, but basically Jack the Ripper. Yeah.
I think Jack the Ripper is almost
a
Dracula analog, because what that London of that time had was a lot of poor people and a lot of desperate people. That, like, if you went down the wrong street...
being watched over well enough by the people who are supposed to watch over people.
Yeah, you would get robbed or stabbed or mugged or whatever, just, in London, because they had crime.
They had, what was it called, like, the London Horror, I think it was called? Where it was like, it was basically kind of like a Mad Gasser or, like a Spring-Heeled Jack sort of thing. And what the pickpocketers would do is they'd pick your pocket, and then they'd "He's the monster of London," or whatever the term was. And then people would just start beating up. People died getting beaten up because they got mugged, and then the guy deflected, like, "He's the monster," and then everyone just started beating the crap out of the poor, mugging victim.
Yeah.
It was not exactly the most sympathetic of societies. But it was still, like conceptually, with a vampire in this day and age sort of thing, you modernize the whole thing. You go downtown at night sort of thing, you see all the live stuff going on, you go to the clubs and all that. Any which one of them could be the Dracula in this case. And you'd never tell because they don't look it. But they look like the person you want to be. You are unintentionally inspired to be this person who is the monster. And that's horrible. I was like, my God, man, you need... props to Bela Lugosi for being able to pull it off. Not everyone can pull off the style. And so it's like, my God, man, you're the worst of the monsters. And you can hide so perfectly. So it's like, oh, insidious.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, to talk about, like, because the person you're afraid of when you go to downtown, you might be afraid of homeless people or crazy people.
Crazy homeless people.
Yeah, and you're not necessarily, like, if someone is, like, dressed nice and they look like they're going to a restaurant or something, you're like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, this guy looks like he's in the upper middle class at least, sort of thing. I
imagine even a nice elderly couple going to a restaurant. They might both be vampires.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing that suddenly got me. That's never really hit with me before, because a lot of people always portray, like, the vampires very predatory sort of thing. So even when you see him, he's got that hungry look in his eyes. But this was just a well-to-do man just strolling down the foggy streets of London without a care in the world.
Well, he doesn't look hungry because he just ate.
Well, that's the thing, though. But he never had that predatory look to him on that sort of thing. He looked like a European noble. He looked like a well-to-do man in London. And it's just like, oh God.
And then there's a bit of social allegory in the fact that actually, these sort of, I don't know if you want to say, bankers or upper class people, and
they were monsters.
They are monsters.
Which is not to say that there wasn't monsters in the middle and lower class. London is notorious for historically poisoning itself. Where the person who made the beer would put in preservatives to make it more gold color and all that, and wind up poisoning everyone. As he gives his drink to the guy who makes the bread. The guy who makes the bread is putting gypsum powder in it to make his flour and bread seem more colored white and properly toned. Everyone was poisoning each other at one point in time. It was so bad, and there was no laws about that sort of thing. One guy even tried it. He was just like a chemist sort of thing. It's like, okay, you want to see if this stuff has got like the gypsum powder in there? Just pour a drop of lemon oil on there, and if it turns green, they're trying to kill you. And he wound up dying because he named names, and he put out every 6 months he put out a thing this is how you tell people are cheating you, and these are the people I've caught cheating. And so he refused to not put out names, and he wound up dying for it. Yeah, London was that kind of place. So just don't think it's always been the center of the world. Listen, I love you, Brits, if and when you're listening to this, but London has not exactly the most glorious of histories. Well, you got to acknowledge that.
I mean, I don't think it's mutually exclusive to be a cesspit and the center of the world. I think
just ask Rome historically.
Yeah, in some ways those two things go together.
The highs are higher and the lows are lower. It's just a more extreme version of humanity in some of these places.
Yeah, and just the fact that it is so central, it attracts all kinds of people, with various motives, and sometimes
there's power to be had there, and there's a certain kind of person that's attracted to power, one way or another. But I very much enjoyed it, even if I was slightly distracted by my daughter playing with Play-Doh and bringing me out Play-Doh cakes for me to blow out because it's my birthday.
Oh, it's not really...
No, it is far, far away from my birthday. But whatever. I mean, like, what am I going to say? No, please, I'm watching Dracula. She actually looked. There was a few scenes where you got Bela Lugosi's piercing, staring eyes, and she, I'm like, that's Dracula, and then she goes, Dracula.
Ooh.
And then she come in again, and she'd look over, that's Dracula. So it's like Bela Lugosi really cuts a striking figure. She's able to notice him very quick. So points on that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the third movie I watched, sadly, was Ouija.
Ouija the movie.
Ouija. Hasbro, at some point, decided, for reasons that have never been fully understood, to try and turn all of their board games into movies. Battleship is the biggest and most notorious one of that. Not exactly the greatest movie, but it had some good acting and at least a decent plot for it, right?
Okay.
Aliens, you gotta maintain radio silence, otherwise they'll bomb you with their, like, crazy alien weaponry.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I can dig that as a concept. But in Ouija was young white people getting into trouble and dying.
Yeah, so like a lot of horror movies.
Yeah. They didn't even try to hide the fact that it was an all-white cast sort of thing. I don't recall seeing very much for color in the background. Kids at the school they were going to. It was pretty white bread.
Okay.
Produced but not directed by Michael Bay.
Uh-huh.
I think I would have been happier if he actually had directed it, because an explosion wouldn't have hurt the movie. I'm not going to lie.
So no explosions.
Fairly formulaic concept for students getting over their head on Ouija boards sort of thing.
Okay.
Or in a universe where Ouija boards actually do something.
Yeah, well that's always been interesting to me, because the Ouija board.
Well, that's the thing, is it just brought up so many unresolved questions. Like the Ouija sort of thing was like a. For those who don't know, a Ouija board, which is like yes and yes in French and then German, that's the actual reason why it's called that.
Oh, Ouija. Ouija.
Yeah, but they call it Ouija.
Yeah.
Whatever. Crazy Anglo pronunciations. The Ouija board is a piece of not even high quality, like particle board or anything like that, with all the letters yes, no.
Well, it's a game you can buy from any toy store. Yeah.
It's a Hasbro game. Buy at Parker Brothers and all that sort of thing. But it's a spirit board. They tend to like to refer to it spirit board in the movie and all that. But it's a bit of particle board with all the letters and all that.
And lets you communicate with spirit.
And that's the thing, is it's got a little like a mover sort of thing, felt tip bottom, so it's very very easy to glide over, and a nice little viewing portal at the center to see which letter it's resting over.
Yeah.
And everybody puts 2 fingers on, and it's supposed to move by your combined psychic powers. But here's the thing. The stuff that gets put out is made with, cheap particle board and stuff. Not even real particle board. It's really just, like hardened cardboard sort of stuff. Very nice, smooth, so it still glides easy. And then some molded plastic. And in the movie, if you hold up the little tab thing that lets you move around, and you look through that hollow spot, you're supposed to be able to see ghosts and all that, which they do.
Cool.
So here's the thing. What about it makes it special enough to see ghosts? Like I'm wearing, glasses. You're wearing glasses, Josh.
Okay, yeah.
Glass is harder to make, and the glasses we have are much more precision made than the Ouija, cursor, like a little viewing port. Why aren't we seeing ghosts when we're wearing glasses? Is there something about the shape of that plastic? That mass-manufactured plastic that makes it able to see ghosts?
Well, I like to picture that in the factory they have like some witch or wizard, like a wrinkly old witch,
just
at the end of the
assembly
line. Yeah, just casting a spell on each one.
They're not. It's not how it goes. There's nothing being done. And so it occurs to me, it's like, I could potentially buy this if it was like a Jumanji-style board, where very classic, seems like handmade sort of thing going on there. Or maybe, like engraved or wood burnt sort of thing. Because, people like to do the wood burning. It's good stuff. It's a nice hobby. You got to be careful. You'll really burn yourself on that burning tip. So take care. But, like burnt in and then like lacquered up nice and smooth. And then with something that was like carved from like the heart of an oak sort of thing. With, like an actual proper glass lens. But no, it's just all like plastic stuff. And it's like, Like, what about that makes it supernaturally viable? Because I got better molded plastic in a little phone I've got just in case the power ever goes out, for a prolonged time and I need to use the phone. Alert for the younger people out there that don't know, because landlines aren't really a big thing with them. If the power ever goes out for a sustained period of time, you would have no use for your cell phones. There's no towers up and running, right?
Okay.
So yeah, your cell phones are now just not phones anymore. But that's okay. They do a lot of stuff other than that. So long as you can get some power somehow, you'll be doing fine for all the other stuff. But you can't use it as a phone. So how do you make phone calls during a blackout? Well, turns out there's a way to do that with a very old classic style phone. No gimmicks, no whistles, no who's phone in display. Just pick up the phone, push the numbers, make the phone call stuff. You can actually hook that up and still use it during a blackout. A few car batteries is all that will take to power something like Victoria for up to a week of power out. It requires that little electricity. So I think it's if you've got like a disaster preparation kit, it doesn't hurt to have one of those very, very basic style phones, because that way you can still use it during a power out. The phone I currently have won't last, sort of thing on there. I mean, I got a landline stuff, but it's got display and it's like a cordless sort of thing. That's not going to work in a power out. But the classic one,
Did the power go out in the show in Ouija?
The power was notoriously unresponsive.
Okay.
When ghosts were active, especially when you're trying to use your phone to use as like a light. Yeah. Oh no, it's flickering out now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a common trope in supernatural.
And
stuff.
I didn't begrudge it on that one. It's just like this time the power's going out. Unless they're using their phone as a light as opposed to using a flashlight. It's the same thing. Don't begrudge that. But yeah, the phone I have here for that emergency is a better molded plastic than what you see in a Ouija board. Why can't I talk to the dead through a phone? What about the Ouija board is it that makes it a magically viable source?
Okay.
And that was never experienced in there, aside from the fact that this was a board that belonged to a medium back in the day. So even after you burn it in the fireplace, it can come back. She can manifest it again. So that's the only connection it has over something you buy in the
sometimes
games and hobby stores.
Sometimes things gain an everyday object can have a psychic memory.
I'm okay with that. It works for that one Ouija board. That one Ouija board had a connection, and then after it winds up getting burnt, I'm through with this. I'll just burn the Ouija board. It's no, it can be remanifested by this powerful spirit.
So that one,
so
but
that
you don't.
One
what doesn't make sense is the mass
for
production.
Every mass manufactured Ouija board, those do not fit that thing. So as much as they're trying to hype up the board game, spirit board. I'll just call it spirit board. As much as they're trying to hype up the spirit board that you can buy in the games and hobby stores, it doesn't make sense.
Well, what they should have had, they should have had something like some process, like I was talking about the witch in the factory, or maybe make it out of some artifact that they found some special.
In which case, this is ecto-manufactured sort of thing. Because at the beginning, Act 1 starts thing, she tries to burn the board, and then she's in her bedroom and it's right there waiting for her again.
Or maybe somebody carved up Aleister Crowley's table and turned it into particle board or something.
Something like that could work. But there was nothing given for that one. Mm-hmm. And then they had the rules, which there aren't really rules. You gotta circle the tab thing around, once around the board for every person playing, at the table. Gotta put their hands on. You gotta give a saying, we contact the spirits, and it rhymes, but only in English. So I guess it's not really that powerful if you're in another language. Mm-hmm. And then they have rules you never play it on a graveyard, sort of thing, and you never play it alone. And the second rule is fairly obvious as to why you don't use a Ouija board alone.
Because then you're just talking to yourself?
You can't fool yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I guess you can, but it's really, really difficult to fool yourself and say, I didn't move it there, when you're the only person there. It's dude, you know.
I kind of, I gotta admit, I kind of want to... I don't think I will buy it.
It's not a bad movie, but it's just so... But the other bit was, don't use it on a graveyard. And I guess that's because there's so many spirits there, it'd be overloading the circuit or whatever. But under what qualifications does graveyard apply? I suppose it should only mean humans, as in many religions, animals do not have a soul, thus they do not have spirits.
And it's not just where a person died; it's where they're actually buried.
Yeah, where their body is. So how long does that apply? I mean, let's say, there's a recently deceased body, down in the mortar of, or I guess down in the the walls of this apartment complex in here. Someone's killed someone and they've walled them up. I mean, that does happen.
I wouldn't say it's in every building. But
no, but it's the other thing. So does that qualify as a graveyard? How many bodies does a graveyard need to be a graveyard?
Isn't that a plot point in the movie that they
Spoiler,
discover?
It does become a plot point.
That there's a body.
What qualifies as a graveyard?
Yeah.
How old does it be? Does it still qualify as a graveyard if all the bodies have gone to just bones?
I guess, yeah. What if you're playing in a museum and there's a mummy in the museum?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how old? Because maybe it's not just the mummy in the museum. What if it's the Royal Tyrrell Museum? These dinosaurs sort of thing. They were big creatures. At what point does the
ghosts of the dinosaurs will come and communicate with you and speak English to you and
that
make English
made
rhymes?
Better movie. I cannot push my finger down into the seat hard enough to stress how much better would have been a movie to have been haunted by the ghosts of dinosaurs.
Okay, well, somebody who's writing movies,
come up
get on
with that, Hollywood. Come on. You're looking for a movie plot? There you go. Ouija 2. Dinosaur exhibit. Bam.
All right.
Yeah. Don't tell me you wouldn't want to watch a movie about ghost T-Rex hurting people.
I would like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Fairly you could probably guess the plot out. There's a third act twist that I suppose really comes out of something like The Ring. So I guess if you've seen The Ring, you could be anticipating a third act twist.
Okay, but we won't spoil it.
No, but it's not like you wouldn't have been able to guess it to some degree.
Okay.
I was just following along. I was so bored I didn't try and guess ahead. So I guess it got me by surprise maybe. I was just kind of happy. It's okay, it looks like they've come to the conclusion of the story. Oh, good, the movie's almost. Oh no, wait, third act twist. Okay, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The deaths weren't always satisfactory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you like your deaths satisfactory then.
Well, so that's the sort of thing. I guess I'll spoil some of the deaths for you. The first girl who instigates all this problem, she winds up, looking through that little viewing port. And all of a sudden her eyes go white. She grabs a whole bunch of Christmas little lights she had on display in her room, and she hangs herself with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And granted, I mean, a hangman's noose that glows is not bad. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Good visual, but not that induced suicide. I don't know.
The next girl sort of thing dies. She's flossing as the bathtub is
running.
And
she hangs herself with the floss.
No, the mouth winds up sewing up, so she can't get the floss out. And then she looks into the mirror, sees something. Her eyes go white. She hovers off the floor, and then bam, her head goes down, hits the sink thing, and then she dies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It wasn't even that far. It's not like she fell that far. People have fallen farther, hit their head on porcelain, and not died.
Well, no, I like that because, sometimes...
But it was just okay, and then, now she is dead. And one of the guys later on winds up seeing, the ghosts or things are getting really bad and nasty. And then, his eyes go white, and he's got the sewed-up mouth style that's going on here. And then it's never revealed, what did he just, die of, fright? Or, it's mentioned he's dead now, but it's okay, you never even mentioned.
Oh, he just dies off screen?
He basically dies by seeing the thing and becoming the white-eyed, sewed-up mouth thing, but they never say how he dies or anything like that. It's just okay, there's one more person gone. And
then he doesn't come back later? Because sometimes they do that. In Scream, they did that.
That is kind of fun to do.
They mentioned somebody died off screen, and they're okay, we'll assume he's dead, and then he comes back. Spoilers for Scream. But
it's old enough just not to worry. But no, it winds up like that, and it's okay, I guess you're just increasing your death tally.
Yeah, if somebody dies off screen though, this is I guess this movie doesn't count. Yeah. But for horror movies, if somebody dies off screen, you can't count them out. You have to see the body.
Well, heck, this is like a supernatural sort of thing. Even after they die, they can still make an appearance.
That's true. Yeah, if it's a movie with ghosts, all bets are off.
Yeah, and possession definitely could still work. But it was just it didn't have any soul or spirit, which is sad for a movie involving souls and spirits.
Yeah.
And so it's like, out of the 3 movies I watched, that was by far the worst one. Not because it was like horrible, but because it was just so lackluster compared to the other stuff I watched. It's like, that's what I get for renting a horror movie rated like PG-13. Oh well. Maybe next week. I did rent one movie I haven't had a chance to see yet, The Man with the Iron Fists.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is interesting because I made sure to get that one as I went to the library back on Friday, because when I was watching the Ouija, the previews had the sequel announced for it, Man with the Iron Fists 2. I'm like, oh boy, yeah! I was more enthused watching that preview than I was watching the Ouija, so I was like...
Okay.
I was like, oh boy, man, the sequel, I definitely got to make sure I watch the original. I was really enthused by the trailer of that one. So I got that one rented. Gonna get a chance to watch it sometime this week, and have fun.
Cool. Very good.
So fingers crossed that one doesn't disappoint me. I've been told RZA, it may not be the best lead character, but whatever. There's enough interesting characters from what I see, and I'll enjoy it. It's got Lucy Liu. It's got Russell Crowe. Yeah. So yes, we do have a bit of a short topic this week. Just I guess a nice little musing that you had and you noticed.
Musing that I had. I'll get into it. I wanted to see if we can get into the topic of sort of mascots and faces and figureheads, as in, like, I guess a D&D group might have this, or a superhero group. But
well, the thing is, everything I've mentioned for the movies I watched this week had effectively one of those.
Yeah.
Ouija had that little... I don't even know what the proper term for it is. I'm just going to call it the tab. The little thing you slide around there with the viewing port. That was what they used, and that's what they kept referencing for us. That was effectively the symbol they had for it.
Yeah, well, symbol is one thing, but I was sort of thinking of along the lines of people, as in, like, a character who stands as a figurehead. Well, in that case, you've got the other movie I've watched, Dracula is definitely Dracula. Yeah, that's sort of, because Dracula is very personality.
Even though in the novel it's not
exactly,
it's all about him. It's telling the story from first Renfield and then going on. Dracula is in the book of his own name for it by Bram Stoker. He is not the protagonist. He is the antagonist.
Okay, yeah.
It just shows how good of an antagonist it is. You're going to name the book after him, right?
So, yeah, okay. So, but just moving on a little bit from, there's a mascot, or there's a face of a franchise sort of looking out from the outside in, like, oh, that, Dracula is the hero, or
so then Chocula. Now Chocula, then we could work for mascots with cereal. Name a non-health oriented cereal that doesn't feature some form of mascot.
Well, yeah, that's...
Even Honey Nut Cheerios has got that darn B still.
That's also true. Although I was thinking, there's Ronald McDonald with McDonald's. And
the healthy cereal for Raisin Bran. This just goes, like sugared raisins may not be the healthiest thing, but the brand makes up for it. But for a long time, they had that smiling sun that was always pouring down the 2 scoops. So even that one had its own little mascot.
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and in, like,
Third edition
internally...
was Meepo, by the way.
Yeah, internally within there, often a gaming group will have either sometimes you call them a face.
It doesn't necessarily work for D&D, but definitely Shadowrun. Shadowrun has that as the title for sample characters was the face.
Yeah, so you have a character who is sort of the leader or spokesman, not necessarily the leader who calls all the shots, because that might be somebody behind the scenes, but you have this person who represents your group as like sort of iconic to it. And I just sort of wondered about
that would have to be a fairly well defined group sort of thing, because sometimes the group is just 4 people playing together rather than one group.
Yep,
and you
4
can
players.
Tell the difference between 4 people doing it independently and 4 people as one group.
But even with a 4 group, and maybe if they're like just getting together for the first time or whatever, And maybe they start to grow a dynamic. But you soon discover that there are some players that are a bit more charismatic, or the character they're playing is a bit more sort of outgoing. I mean, I say charismatic, so it's usually the character with a high charisma score.
Not necessarily. I've played enough characters where I do not have the high charisma score, but I'm the guy who makes the decisions because, by golly, someone has to make a decision, or we'll be here at this 10-foot pit all night.
Oh yeah, and it might be the guy who like sort of makes it like the Leroy Jenkins of the party, who's Leroy Jenkins and charges in.
Fortune favors the bold, but not always, as that clip will prove.
Or it might be the character who just, when the barbarian king says, which one of you is the leader? And then the one character steps forward, I am, and then that's okay. I guess that's the leader for all. That's
how it goes. Yeah. Sometimes it's the person who has more story. I remember one campaign of yours where my character wound up effectively becoming the protagonist of it by virtue of being able to intertwine himself with the history you had set up.
Yeah, exactly.
Elven chronomancer lost in time. Yeah. And I'm so happy I managed to find my character's wife and son.
Yeah.
Lost throughout was it 10 millennia? My God, that was a far time.
Yeah, I think I made it 10 millennia.
10,000 years.
Yeah.
I found my long lost wife, Ray.
And I don't think that's necessarily too bad of a thing. I mean, you don't want to leave characters out if players specifically want to be more involved.
Well, so that's the thing. There were some other people there. I mean, there was one person who was playing whatever that race of intelligent squirrels was.
Yeah.
And so he could definitely have qualified as a mascot, but it just didn't wind up happening. So it's not always just because you're the cute little furry one.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
and there was another guy who was playing a person who like their warrior was a whip-based thing, which was not very effective as a weapon in 3rd edition. It's become a much better weapon in 5th. They took out some rules about what you can and cannot hurt with it. So it was not exactly the best weapon, but the guy was just there. I just want to play this. I just want to do this, man. And so he just wound up just playing it straight without winding up taking and wrapping his character in with the history.
Yeah, and I think if we had played that campaign a bit longer, we might have got more into other characters' backstories and stuff.
There was some other stuff going, because you had 2 parties going in that campaign.
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah.
So the other one had I guess, a bit of a different dynamic. But my one, Elven Chronomancer, wound up becoming effectively the main lead for plot progression in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I dug it. It was, I gotta say, by the way, for those out there who are thinking about it, try and take that up. It's a nice role to have. Talk with your DM about it and see if you can do that. Say, okay, I want to make my character help out with making sure the plot rolls along. How am I going to be able to best intertwine myself with your plot to make things work? I really dug it. I admit, it probably isn't for everyone. There's some people just want to sit down and hack and slash the night away. But I really dug it, making the connections and doing it. And it's we need to go here next, and this has to happen. Yeah. And it was rather nice.
Well, we had, the other night when
we
played D&D, we had, our group got together, and it's a bit harder with these one-shots for Alex to plan for everything. But one of the things that happened was we met a gnoll along the way, and we had decided to spare him or whatever. And then Alex is basically telling us what happened to us. And several of us at the table were really interested. So you almost could have, and he might end up doing this later on, because he's still running adventures. But you almost could write an adventure of, that gnoll something, went on some trip or got kidnapped or got lost or now you have to go find him or something, right? So that whatever the players sort of take interest in, that you can, as a DM, you can be they're taking interest in that. It's not necessarily that it's his plan, but it's this is where they're going, and we'll just weave the plot towards what they're interested in.
Well, that's an interesting thing too, because what you can always wind up doing, this is a good DM tip, is a spaghetti test. Throw against the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
In which case, throw a bunch of NPCs at the players. See which ones they seem to like, which ones they don't seem to like, which ones they seem to hate, and make a note of that. Make a number of that. Do it like a positive to -3 score. If the players just don't seem to care, mark the guys as 0. If they seem to really dig this character, maybe up 1, 2, or even a +3 on that one. If they really seem to hate this dude, put them down to up to a -3 or down to a -3 for the whole thing. And in which case, make a note of that and just see who you want to weave back in again later for your NPCs as the story comes. Because the more times you encounter the NPC, the more it feels you're a part of the setting, that you're part of the story, rather than just, and then, everything's just like a background, scrolling past behind you as you're, fake walking on a stage.
Yeah.
Because it really will. And so that way you definitely see what sticks, see what doesn't. And keep what sticks and reweave that back in. Makes things a little easier to storytell for you that way. Because it's like, okay, they dug him and then this and this. So the next story will have these 3 characters, and how do these 3 wind up working together? And then, okay, I think I got a story for the next little adventure for us.
Okay, one other thing about...
That was a tangent.
If we have time. One other thing about the face of a group is when an outside party, like within the world, within the game world, an outside organization looks at your party group and says, "Oh, that's so-and-so's company," or like in the Hobbit, that's Thorin's company, or would they say that's Bilbo's company, or that's Gandalf's crew, depending on who looks at them.
It's Gandalf's posse, yo.
They might see a different, depending on, if the elves see them as, oh, that's Gandalf and his people, whereas other dwarves would be, oh, that's Thorin and his people, and then the hobbits would be like, oh, that's Bilbo and his friends. So,
I don't know if they call them friends right away. I mean, what the Hobbit says they are. It'd be Bilbo and those strangers.
Yeah, well, although they consider Bilbo strange himself, so maybe...
Especially after such an adventure as he had.
Yeah. So, I don't know which character is the mascot or the iconic, face of that group.
Bilbo is definitely the mascot of it.
Mascot.
You got 13 dwarves who, in many different presentations, are almost identical, save for beard length, body size, and cloak color.
Mm-hmm.
And you got your Grey Wizard, and then you got your Hobbit. So the Hobbit, almost by default,
sort of stands out.
It's just like the mascot.
Because 13 dwarves could be any group of dwarves.
It could be any 13 dwarves.
Might be just randomly. Oh yeah.
It could be any old guy,
But if they have a hobbit with them, it's Thorin.
Outside of the Shire, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the thing about the Hobbit was he was very good at being concealed, so you might not necessarily see the Hobbit along with the 13 dwarves. You might just see 13 dwarves. You might see a wizard, but you probably wouldn't necessarily.
I know the 3 trolls did not see the Hobbit until it was far too late.
Yeah.
Although, mind you, in the movie, it wasn't until Gandalf until far too late cracks the rock.
So that's interesting. Yes, someone roguish or thiefish could serve both as a face and also as someone who sneaks around behind and is not seen.
Until you only see the face when it's too late. It's like seeing the white of their eyes.
Yeah.
Dig it. So I kind of like that one sort of thing. It was almost weird though, because when you think about D&D as a whole, you don't think of any one character being a mascot. Definitely for each setting. Elminster is pretty much a mascot.
Yeah.
Although you could also make an argument for Drizzt.
Mm-hmm.
Both are a little contentious in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
How about the Greyhawk world? What do you picture for the mascot there?
The Circle of Eight, I guess.
Mordenkainen and his crew. Because I guess I'm revealed here in that I pictured Ayuz the Evil.
Okay, yeah.
On his palanquin, of bone being presented in front of you like a little peon.
Well, the interesting thing about D&D settings that always has been that the players are supposed to fill that role of the settings are designed with that vacancy or that hole in it for you can be the hero and the
really because you tell me Dragonlance and I picture 2 characters, Raistlin
and his brother.
No, I actually picture Tasselhoff Birdfoot.
Okay.
He's totally a mascot.
Yeah.
He's the Kender. He's fun. He's happy. Everyone enjoys reading him. He's a mascot.
Now, are mascots generally are they sort of? I think they're animal or
they have to be definitely likable.
Like an animal or.
In which case, Caramon was very much likable, but I mean, dude had to compete against Kender. Come on, dude. That's just hard. It's not easy to do. So. You do what you can.
Someone either small or someone who stands out or who looks different. Yeah.
So then, would this also work with defining mascots for video games? Like if I say World of Warcraft, does a mascot pop out for you?
Well, I think of Thrall although I guess he's less important lately.
Yeah, he's got to come back into it. I mean, Lord knows, things got pooched up enough with his successor.
What's his, is Grom in there? Grom Hellscream?
No, it's his son, Gromash.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going bad, that one. But there isn't like a mascot for that one. There's not someone everyone remembers. Oh, yes, I remember. Hogger, maybe for the Alliance side. Everyone fights Hogger at some point.
Okay,
although they wound up turning him into a raid boss. So, so a diminished importance on that one.
Yeah.
But that one doesn't work. Maybe that's something that they could really work on there, is having that mascot sort of thing. Having the face.
Sure.
Because they're trying with that King Rin guy, and it is just not sticking for me, no matter how much I read it. I'm much more involved with Thrall, because I give a darn about Thrall.
Yeah.
Although I won't lie, Sylvanas also gets my attention.
Yeah.
Like, she's playing a very dangerous game, man. She's walking on the razor's edge. I'm intrigued to see how she falls in this case. Because you can't stay on the razor's edge forever.
I think also with World of Warcraft, they try to do a new face with each expansion, and even patches will have somebody that they'll sort of focus on in a patch. But yeah, mainly the expansions seem to have somebody very like Cataclysm had the dragon. What's his name?
It doesn't matter. He's dead now.
Yeah, the big evil dragon.
But I was thinking back to the Burning Crusade. Definitely, you had. You are not ready. That even had a tagline for him too.
Yeah.
So then would a tagline effectively be just like the verbal equivalent of the mascot?
Yeah, it's in that same sort of area of like symbolism. Yeah.
So then for Dwarf Fortress, sort of thing, even though all your dwarves look like that little ASCII smiley face, just having that would not be mascot enough. You'd have to use the mascot line, tagline, strike the earth. I don't know. When I picture Dwarf Fortress, it's like, strike the earth.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I see a lot of posts for Dwarf Fortress, like on message boards and stuff, it's like Urist, what's his face?
Oh, well, that's the thing is, Urist came from like a person writing a story based on their crazy, adventure with the 2010 game. It was a weird world back then. All animals were always aggressive. And so the 7 dwarves quickly had their collective dwarf butts handed to them by some very angry elephants. And so the one that survived, low charisma and all that score, was a dwarf named Urst, and she just went mad trying to prove I'll be better than them all. I'll show them. And she was great. I definitely recommend anyone reading it. It's a good story, and it's a very, very entertaining thing going on there.
Okay.
But that's where Urst comes from. So you've got Urst this and Urst that.
Yeah.
The Mick, just because, dwarf and I'm Scottish, let's Mick this and Mick that.
Yeah.
That's a trope of the dwarves, I suppose.
I don't know, but I like to think that, like, within the dwarf society, they might see, like, because eventually you have nobles and bureaucrats and stuff in your dwarf fortress, so maybe they see those guys as sort of mascots or figureheads or whatever.
Well, that's the thing, is it can be really weird who winds up becoming the mascot, because I remember a few stories where it'd be like an unexpected creature does it. They had a creature, a bronze colossus. Back in the day when there was no bleeding and cumulative damage, I think almost impossible to kill. If you had a steel weapon, you might be able to pierce it enough to chop off the head and kill it. Otherwise, not happening. It is just like, it was a literal machine of lethality going through there. There was a few tricks for killing anything, but you'd have to have that almost set up in advance to make it happen quickly enough. But there was one guy who was telling a story how he was collecting up crazy stuff just to sell or throw, and he had what was called a fluffy wombler. It only appears in like the good areas, and based on from what I've looked at the code, it is eyes, fluff, legs, and I think maybe antennae. That's really all it is. It's basically just like a kid's toy sort of thing, like all that. And he was being attacked by a bronze colossus, and he was throwing everything he had at it, and he threw the fluffy wombler, and it knocked his head off. 1 in a million shot manages to do it. Does it, hits the head, knocks off the bronze head, and does it. So it wound up being that the fluffy Wombler for a while became like the mascot of Dwarf Fortress, as being the good, like useless, useful thing.
Yeah.
And then for a while it was also mermaids, when somebody figured out mermaid products were 4 times as valuable as regular product. And so they found a way to harvest mermaids, force them to breed, kill the kids, get the bone, and sell high-priced bone off to traders. That got so bad, the guy who programs it, Toady, actually changed it so that mermaid bones are worthless as much as like cow bone.
Okay.
He was so disturbed by the concept, he made sure that they qualified as intelligent and were useless bone quality.
Right.
So I don't know if that's like a good one or a bad one in that case, because it was bad enough it got the programmer to say, no man, that's too much even for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been jumping back and forth from inside and outside of like a game because, you know, as players and fans of a thing, we can sort of latch onto our favorite character from a movie and say, okay, that represents the movie for us. Whereas internal to the game, there is the characters in it might have a different opinion.
Very interesting to think about. But yeah, I suppose that's just a little thing that you mentioned that knows up. So yeah, keep an eye out on that. Anything you're reading, anything you're watching, anything you're playing with this week, keep an eye out and say to yourself, what counts as the mascot? Where is the face in this? What is the thing that I immediately think of when I'm playing this, or I'm watching this, or I'm reading this?
Yeah.
And say to yourself, that's my mascot. Try to avoid actual symbols, otherwise that old TSR logo would have been mine for all of D&D.
If you're making a story, or if you're playing in a D&D game, you can ask yourself, like, is this character, do they consider themselves as like sort of a face or representing the organization?
Do they consider themselves, and are they considered by others as?
Yeah, or on the other hand, maybe they will push for somebody else to be recognized as that figurehead and sort of more fade into the background and still make decisions for the group, but be like, no, that person like represents us. So if you want to get back at us, kill them.
So what about the stand-in then? Could you qualify like the character stand-in, where like this is meant to represent you in the movie? Would they be automatically out of the running for a mascot? Like for the Twilight series, you couldn't count Bella because she's effectively like a puppet that's supposed to represent you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, good question. Maybe
they would have to be, despite any charisma they might wind up having, they because they're the audience analog, they can't be.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, from outside the film, like as fans, I think people see that people latch on to weird things like, oh, I really like the werewolves because they're hot or something. And people liked Legolas in Lord of the Rings. He was sort of an unexpected mascot because he was just sort of a secondary
My wife
character.
still calls him her elf boy.
Yeah, but fans really just liked Legolas because he was good looking and he did cool stuff. And
on the other hand, Nathan Fillion was clearly the head for Firefly.
Yeah.
Just because you're pretty doesn't mean it's just all about the women liking you. I appreciated him in the role he had. Well, does he qualify as that? As the
Firefly, I find Firefly stands out because every character is very well developed, and just because Joss Whedon's a good writer and those are good actors, I found like you can almost consider any character in that.
Speaking of which, Joss Whedon was one of the writers for Atlantis. I found out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, looking up the credits. So yeah.
He's there. Yeah. So I think, yes, Malcolm is definitely the leader and sort of the face of the organization. He's the captain of the ship. He's like, who you deal with. But at the same time, every one of them is the main character of their own story, which is something that we all loved about Firefly.
Well, not the executives at Fox.
Yeah.
But they don't have exactly the best track record of figuring out what's good and what's not. They canceled a lot of good stuff.
But actually, that might be a good, interesting counterpoint to the idea of mascots in that, yeah, if you look at certain universes or well-written ones, almost anybody can fill that sort of role be like loved by the fans.
So then a smart writer would make a world whereby he would or she would purposefully cover enough ground between all the main characters so that almost anyone can find someone they want to like and latch on to.
Probably, but I wouldn't necessarily close the door on deliberately having a very iconic character, saying like, this character is our center.
This is the most standout of standouts,
and it represents our series.
But that said, if you really like this sort of person, go for like you can like that.
But just good writing will develop your other characters.
Sesame Street, where every character is a very well developed character. Some people like Oscar the Grouch more. Some people like Big Bird more.
Yeah. It's a good ensemble cast, yeah.
Some people were big Ert and Bernie fans.
I suppose, I think Elmo got the most popularity.
They had Kermit the Frog for a while, but he was kind of like a lone-in character, so it was never too much. And then Elmo hit the big screen, and Elmo was the big guy there. He was your mascot.
The interesting thing about Elmo, too, is that wasn't expected. Like, they just, we'll just add this other character. That was not the first time Elmo's been there, but when the voice actor turned him from like a regular kind of gruff Muppety voice to nice little kitty Elmo, there you go, takes off. Yeah.
Elmo was around before that voice actor did Elmo. He was there. He never didn't get any introduction. He was a background monster.
Yeah, and kids liked him, and adults liked him, some adults didn't like him.
Adults tolerated him.
I think they saw the appeal, at least.
I would have liked Elmo more if you could have shared the time with the other monsters, because that's kind of one of the lessons you really should be teaching on Sesame Street is share.
I think, at some points he learns how to share.
He had his Elmo's World, and then he's got the Elmo the Musical stuff he does that could completely have been filled by Prairie Dawn, who was already known for doing plays.
Yeah.
Elmo didn't share. He stole that potential bit from Prairie Dawn. Elmo already had Elmo's World. Elmo the Musical could have been Prairie Dawn's theater.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, Elmo doesn't share, and that's why some parents only tolerate him. Huh. Everyone else is completely rocking. From Oscar to Big Bird, Snuffle Up, I guess, and around the corner. They're all good.
It's about this time that maybe I should mention our email address in case people
if you want to send me hate mail against, how dare you not love Elmo.
In case you love
Elmo. Bring it.
Or if you hate Elmo, that's fine too. You can send us email at thesimulation.
I just think he's greedy. I don't hate him. I just think he's greedy.
You can comment on our Facebook page where everybody in the world can see it.
Provided they got a Facebook account.
Yeah.
Or wait, is it open for non,
Oh, well,
I'll have to check that out.
Anybody can post on it shows up on this, I didn't figure this out until recently, but it shows up on the side of the page. But yeah, anybody can post anything on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thesimulationist. Type as much thoughts as you want and people can read them.
Not constrained by 140 characters like
That's
Twitter,
right.
Where you can get a hold of Josh with.
Spaceboot1 is my Twitter handle.
The numeral one.
Spaceboot, the numeral 1. As my Twitter. And you can also find us on YouTube. It's the same, wherever you're listening to this now, it's the same file. It's just switched to YouTube in case that's how you consume your media. And you can leave comments there.
It's easy to go to YouTube. It's like a Google subpart, so you can just go there quickly. It's very easy to get. You don't have to go through this. You don't have to sign up for any of that. Click, play, there you go.
YouTube.com/thesimulationist, or just do a search for The Simulationist. And I think that's all the things. Oh, if you find us on iTunes or Stitcher or some other podcatcher that allows reviews, we would love to have a write-up or review if you have the time. As many stars as you think we deserve, or thumbs up or whatever they allow you to stick in that little box or click or whatever. But that's oh, and of course tell a friend if you can. We'd love you forever if you told all of your friends,
all your relevant friends. You got a jock that wouldn't particularly listening to us. Don't force them, dude.
Okay, don't force anybody, but
if you think we'd be a good match for someone,
I don't know. I think
hook us up, man.
If you know somebody who's a bit nerdy or maybe might be into some nerdy things, they might also appreciate The Simulationist. I don't know. I'm just
give it a shot, man.
But that would help us out a lot because that's sort of how we like word of mouth, and that's just
how we go viral.
That's what's gonna get us our millions of pennies.
But here's
a million
the thing.
pennies is a lot.
Is a penny is no longer a valid Canadian currency. Oh, okay, technically it's valid, but it's no longer a used Canadian currency, so you're not going to see them. So we can be getting millions of pennies, but because the penny doesn't work anymore, as a thing where we can still have nothing. Millions of nickels.
Well,
now.
Yeah, maybe figure it out. We also have a Patreon account. Look up the simulation. Like, go to Patreon and look up the Simulationist. I think you should be able to find us in case you want to help us out in that way. And I think that's all the social media.
So yeah, I guess a final thought was I would also like to look at some of the most generic styled stuff. Like, I'm looking over across the room here, and there's some that play school sort of stuff they got for my daughter, where it's basically a barn. And I'm thinking, it came with characters, it came with animals, but nothing was designed to stand out. It was all supposed to be generic and play together. It was designed specifically without a face. That's kind of creepy, imagining something without a face.
As opposed to things that should not have faces having faces.
I've seen that. They're calling them Shopkins these days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It turns out that's highly marketable.
Huh.
Put a face on a pizza. Call it pizza face. Sell it. Kids will eat it up. Hopefully not literally, because it's a choking hazard.
Oh, not an actual pizza, but a toy pizza.
Yeah.
Plastic pizza.
Little tiny things like that.
Yeah.
My daughter goes nuts over the concept of them. I'm not getting her any.
Well, if you're running a D&D game or if you're writing a story, that's something to keep in mind, that for, you want to appeal to human beings or audiences or listeners, then it might do to have some sort of human characteristics to your world. Yeah. Especially
with intelligent magical items as a concept sort of thing. Like, what sort of character traits do they have? Or are they so completely alien because it's not like they have any real thing that connects up, right? Whoa.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess we'll see you in 7 days. Keep an eye out for any fiction you're partaking of, and try and figure out who is the mascot in this one. Who is the face? Who's the figurehead?
Yeah. I've been Josh Trelevin.
I've been Ryan Kirkby.
And
enjoy Halloween.